alcoholic cocktails. So if you're here, you have an interest on this topic, of course, but you probably have seen also other presentations about this subject. It's been now, I think, easy 5-6 years that this topic has been around. We opened a venue 8 years ago in the city of Paris, and I would say France as a country is probably one of the pioneers in aperitif and in this ritual. And our venue has embraced this ritual and has become one of the most iconic places, not only in the city of Paris, but I would say also worldwide for this style of drinks and this ritual that we're going to go through. What is aperitif and what that means? I'm actually not French, I'm Colombian originally, and I moved to France and I've been living there for 17 years now. And I learned what aperitif means and was over there in the city of Paris. And it was very interesting because what I realized also is that this ritual fitted my lifestyle and fitted what you do, for example, in Paris. When you live in a small apartment and you don't have a big kitchen, or you cannot really host too many people, but you want to receive some friends or family, if you want to do a meal, you actually invite them for aperitif to your house. And you pour some wine or do a little cocktail and put some chips, peanuts, all this, whatever it is. But it's this sharing moment that you can have with people before having dinner or before going out, or actually just extend it and it becomes a long forever night aperitif party. So that is something I learned in Paris and I thought that was brilliant. This photo embraces, I would say, the elements that are key in this ritual and in this particular moment of the day, because aperitif also is after you go work and you go home and before dinner. So it's a time-sensitive moment of the day. This photo is a place called Bar Marilou in New Orleans. It's a bar we consulted 3 years ago. It opened in 2019. And it was inspired on the concept of the Marie Celeste, the place that we're going to talk afterwards. This is a little bit to show you the offering we do. So if you know New Orleans, you know the classic cocktails. You know they like to drink a lot. You know they're very proud of their heritage, and wine. And this style of drinks, low ABV, is something very new, actually. In cocktail bars, you have amazing wine bars in New Orleans as well. When we created this concept, we wanted to really find the perfect balance in respecting classic cocktails that you can find, but also introducing these wine-based rituals and wine-based cocktails. This is a service. The first one you see is just a small bottle of Fino. We do the aperitif hour over there instead of happy hour. So everything that is aperitif and low ABV is a discount. And we serve it with small food. This is a classic Fino that we do with olives and almonds. It's a classic pairing, actually. And we never thought it would be successful, but because we present it like that, in the little thing with ice and everything, people have been more and more excited about actually trying new things. The non-alcoholic cocktails in Bar Marilou are always with an option of adding alcohol. So funny enough, we did make a couple of non-alcoholic palomas, like a grapefruit cordial and special salts and some jalapeno pickles and things like that. And people were like, well, we like the non-alcoholic, can we add booze? So we do have non-alcoholic section cocktails, and people can add alcohol if they want and they wish. So this is how Bar Marilou looks in the middle photo. It's actually a very New Orleans version of what the aperitifs can be. It's also inside the building. It's an old library. So when they contacted us, they wanted a library bar. But there's been already amazing library bars, mainly in the US. And we were like, how can we do this different and not what you think right away of a library bar, like something more darker and more classic. So we got inspired on Paris mainly. When you think Parisian artists and you go to their houses, when you look online how their apartment look, they don't look particularly organized but there's a lot of books and there's a lot of magazines, and you have a little bit of funkiness and textures and colors, and this is actually our version of the library bar for Bar Marilu. There is books, but they're very well curated, and they're all more funky and playful. There's a lot of gastronomy books in it, a lot of our peers bartenders books are in it, and the way it looks and it feels is not this very stiff and closed place, but actually more open and welcoming bar. Wine, of course, we have wine service. These wine glasses are very classic. In Paris, you can find in a lot of classic bistros. Normally in the US, you will see also taller and bigger wine glasses, and the pours are actually bigger. Here, we really decided to respect that serve, but then we will have fun with the low ABV cocktails. And as you can see over there, we have a kind of a spritz type, and that glass is enormous, it's giant. So it really fits also the culture. You can pass around the cocktails. So we're gonna give you a couple of drinks. The cocktails, we're gonna talk about them at the end. So please feel free, taste.
Thank you.
So Le Marie Celeste. Le Marie, I have a business partner called Josh, and he's American, Colombian. And we started with Candelaria, our first venue in Paris, 10 years ago. And then we opened a dive bar in the Pigalle area called Glass. I don't know if you're probably familiar. It's completely the opposite of the low ABV and the aperitif concept. Now we sold that in 2019. And then we opened Le Marie Celeste. So Le Marie Celeste is our third venue in the city. When we opened it, the idea and the concept of it was to integrate wine in a cocktail bar. And why? Because when we were in Paris, we love wine as much as we love cocktails. But in the city at that time, cocktail bars didn't serve much wine, or none actually. And cocktail bars were very classic in the sense that were cozy, small, hidden, dark, like Candelaria, for example. But there was not really a venue where you could enjoy wine in a cocktail bar. So we thought about this place like that. It needs to be open, it needs to match that, like the wine service. So why the cocktails needed to be low ABV is because if you come with a friend and this person is having a glass of wine, but you want a cocktail, if you have say a whiskey sour, a Manhattan, or whatever, you're just not going to be at the same conversation level after a couple of drinks. So we are completely happy to do martinis and Manhattans or any other cocktail. Our bartenders are completely trained on making classics, but the program is focused on wine base or amaros or different proportions to have people being able to share wine and cocktails kind of at the same level. So I'm going to introduce you to Jennifer. She is our...
I have a question about what is in this drink.
Oh, we're going to talk about the cocktail at the end.
Okay, sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah. I'll trick you a little bit. So Jenny is our GM for both venues, for Candelaria and Marie Celeste. She started working there. I'm going to give her the microphone. She's going to talk about her experience at the venue, and she actually being French and understanding this ritual better than anybody.
Hello, hi everybody. So my name is Jenny, and like Carina say, I'm here. I'm the general manager of the two place. So I've been working actually in the company since 8 years, so it's a long time. And I've been managing the two since 5 years, so I'm pretty aware of how we work. And by the way, yes, I'm French, so aperitif is kind of my style. So let's first to introduce my team. So this is Elena, she's a bar manager, and Alex, who is and bartender, sorry. So she's Italian, he's French. We have a really big mix. It's a big team. Like actually, we pretty like 7 in the kitchen and 6 by the bar and service. You have to know that we work all at the same time. We do bar, we bartend. We only don't do kitchen. That's a bit difficult, but so everybody has a kind of know the job of the other one. Everybody like know how to serve people and how to make drinks also. They've been here actually since pretty 4 years, so it's been a long time. People love the place. It's a different place of, I don't know. I arrived in Paris like 8 years ago and I used to work in a brasserie, so it's like kind of really French aperitif places. And Marie-Céleste was completely out of this way of work, was bar, cocktail. They was doing small plate, like something was really, really new at the beginning. Like, and actually I never see that in the countryside because I come from the West Coast. So it's like small town with like tradition. So Marie-Céleste was like completely a new style and exciting. Exciting to work over there and learn more. What can I say about
So Jenny, when she started with us, she was a waitress and she came with a very strong knowledge on how to work the floor. That in the team we had at the time, it was really exciting because this venue, Marie-Céleste, has 22 seats around the bar. The bar is the most important part. We also have an oyster bar station. We serve oysters. And then we have tables that kind of float around. So the first photo that you saw at the beginning, the terrace, that's actually the terrace of Marie-Céleste. We can open the windows and you have a lot of light. And we have tables around there too. And to understand how to work the floor was really important. So she brought a lot of assets there. Then she wanted to learn bartending, and we put her behind the bar. Then she became a head bartender, started creating cocktails. Because she doesn't like to talk about herself, so I'm going to do that. So yeah, she started creating cocktails and embraced the program and understood it how it needed to be work. And because of her, and she stays with us still, this heritage going through the team today is really important to us. So when she says everybody does everything, that's true. Bartenders in Marseille also do host and also do the floor. We do have people with certain expertise, like we have a wine person, and she provides education and knowledge for the rest of the team, and there's bar meetings every week, and like they organize themselves to be able to share their knowledge. But yeah, everybody kind of does a little bit everything. And I have seen also the bartender choking oysters and being helpful when we have too much demand. And for example, we have a new person in the kitchen or something like that. So it's a very interesting skill sets for this concept, because you don't only get yourself as a bartender to learn drinks, you get yourself to learn about so many other things in a place that provides that, in a space that, because aperitif is so important, food is important, and you need to know about it, and drinks is important, and wine is important to know about it. So
this is more about the kitchen style we do. So it's first of all, this is the chef. The chef is French, but we do Nico. We do a lot of fusion. We start with chef was like Canadian, Romanian, Chinese style, like origin. So we had a lot of fusion who stay on this line, and Nico loved, like, for example, Japanese, Chinese, also spicy. So we bring all this in a plate. So you can see this is a hard duck fries with I think a chimichurri sauce, like a bit spicy. You have oysters. This is our sorry for so this is what we do. We do small plate to chair, and that really goes through the aperitif style with glass of wine. And you can have a drink or just a cocktail, bottle of wine, and this is really something was like not existing back in the day for us.
So when she says that, it sounds a little bit crazy because I'm not reinventing the wheel here. This is not something like, yeah, but come on, we can eat oysters. 80 years ago, I assure you, you will not find a place where you could have a cocktail, some oysters, like maybe 2 or 3, not to have like the classic service, and actually wine in the same place. It sounds great. You have amazing seafood and oyster restaurants, you have wine bars, and you had cocktail bars. You didn't have all in one. And this is when we open, for example, journalists and people coming like, okay, what are you? Like, what is your place about? And we were telling them, this is all of it. Like, it's all of it in one, and you can actually stay for dinner if you want, and you can, you know, come at 11 p.m. and have a cocktail. We close at 2. Or you can come at 6 and have a glass of wine. You know, like, it's like trying to really break all these divisions of what a space can be and actually put them all together. Why I choose, I mean, we do a lot of food. I mean, in 8 years of also, we had 3 different chefs in the history of Marie Celeste. Nico is our 4th. And as Jenny said, there's been a big heritage on, yes, seafood and spices and a lot of fusion. But the most important thing here is the majority of the food you can eat with your hands. It was a choice, like oysters you eat with your hands, these dog hearts you can eat with your hands. And why? Because we wanted to keep it very convivial. And again, bringing back this aperitif knowledge where instead of having just peanuts or olives, you can have, you know, more elaborated food that you can still eat it with your hand and like eat it fast and go if you feel like it. Or then if you want to have a full-on dinner, you will have also some offerings in the menu that will provide that. So that is why when we say this didn't exist 8 years ago, sounds strange, but actually it didn't. And I don't know that many cities that it can embrace actually all of them together. I know amazing restaurants, amazing cocktail bars, amazing wine bars, but is there a place that you can have all of them in one? And that is that's quite interesting.
So yeah, we was talking about the wine, back to it. So this is one of our, back in the day, like Marie-Celeste was, we have a like really small cellar with like few, perhaps 50 or 70 bottles of wine. We do, most of them are like natural, bio, or all these kind of section, not really conventional, because Josh loves it, and actually we love it too. Thing is like wine always been something in Marie-Celeste, and now it's like we start to have like really a lot of references, like 200 perhaps. Like Josh getting a bit crazy about it. So we have this person like Vanessa. She's a sommelier, and she tried to push our team to learn more about like the terroir, how to sell wine, like in order like everybody can be able to do this, not the job of the sommelier, but be able to sell it perfectly.
And also learn about wine. I think one of the interesting things about our program is that bartenders, they come and they learn about cocktails and they're excited about spirits, but the fact that they can learn about wine it's an extra, it's a plus. I feel like bartenders have forgotten a little bit wine. Even myself, when I started bartending a couple of years ago, that was like 15 years ago, I really focused my career on spirits, but I kind of put wine in aside. And then I gave kind of wine to Josh and be like, okay, Josh, you will deal with the wine. But I actually love wine as well. And today I'm 36-year-old and I don't drink as much as I used to when I was younger, and I enjoy spirits very much, but actually having a glass of wine and understanding and having the knowledge for it is really key. And that's kind of what we try to provide to our team as well, is that when they come to Marie Celeste, they can learn about that. And they can have a more complete path and career as a bartender. I also think for us, when we start aging, like the type of places we work, I think Marie Celeste gives a really good balance on the schedule, on the type of drinks, on, again, your knowledge, and all these things. Like, at a certain age, when you're bartending, to work in a place like Marie Celeste, for example, It is intense because you do floor. For example, you run, and it is in 3 floors as well, so you go up and down. But it does give you a more, I would say, quiet mind compared to other bars that can be more high volume or later at night or more dive bar style. I owned those places before, so I know what I'm talking about. Like Glass, for example, a place that was open 7 days until 5 in the morning. We knew it will have an expiring date. Marie Celeste for us doesn't have expiring date. It's a place that can live 20, 25 years. It can be an institution. So that is really important.
And this is also the kind of drink you can find in Marie Celeste. So we do craft beers, like most of them come from Paris. We love to work with a local producer. Low ABV drinks, or for example, this is a non-alcoholic drink, so you don't realize really it's sans alcohol. Just to
add to that, like that photo is important because when we started our non-alcoholic cocktail program, we wanted people that it wasn't too obvious that it would be a non-alcoholic. At the time, again, 8 years ago, people would drink more lemonades or more like long drinks as a non-alcoholic, what they're totally fine. But to be able to trick people with a non-alcoholic cocktail, that was really fascinating. That's what I'm trying to do with you guys today as well. So let's see if it works. You're gonna receive now another cocktail. So the appearance in non-alcoholics are really key, I think, for the rise of this movement or the rise of this movement, to see how people today are drinking differently and to be able to cater everyone. I think we have a very different eye on alcohol in general today. And we are drinking differently. There's a new generation as well, younger people are drinking differently. And to be able to provide in a venue different programs and different style of drinks is really, really important. I mean, as a business owner myself and as a bartender, I think it's really key to satisfy customers with different drinks. So giving importance to non-alcoholic is today is obligatory. Like you cannot, like for me,
Liebe Besucher, liebe Aussteller, bitte achtet darauf, eure Masken zu tragen. Dear visitors, dear exhibitors, please make sure to wear your masks.
No, we didn't know that. Well, I left mine.
It's okay, it's okay.
It's okay?
It's okay, it's okay, it's okay.
You're good? Okay, sorry. I didn't know we need to do that now. So non-alcoholics, again, they need, of course, it tastes good, but they also need to look good, because you don't want to make the person that is not drinking alcohol feel bad about it or feel awkward or different. Same with actually vegetarian or vegan options in your restaurant or in the food menu. People shouldn't have to ask for vegetarian dishes. You should actually have them in the menu. So it is to provide the proper offering, and the balance and the offering is really, really important. So I think we're actually gonna head to the cocktail. So now Chris is around here. Chris McNulty is around the room. You come here. So actually Chris is the bar manager of Candelaria, so not from Marie Celeste, but he's here with us today up to the challenge to create the 2 drinks that you are tasting. So we're going to introduce you now.
You probably talk to the microphone.
You're gonna need a microphone. Come on. Yeah, that's good.
I'm very loud, I'm sure it'll be fine. So two kind of simple drinks. The problem normally with non-alcoholic drinks is people try and make them not complex, if that makes sense. They try and go for an easy out, something fruity, something light. Actually, people don't always want that in a non-alcoholic. Something like this. We kind of settled on like a dirty martini as a starting point. But obviously, as you'll see, it's a bit longer and it's a bit sweeter. I think you need you need to add body to non-alcoholic drinks, and that's your real sticking point for people when they drink them. It's very light, it's very watery, and they feel a bit kind of like left out of the experience. But it's a good kind of starting point. Things that maybe aren't what you would expect are a good kind of idea for us for non-alcoholic drinks. The second drink, we've done a spritz style. It's very classic, what we call apéro in France. It's the time basically after work. Everyone's straight out, straight into the pub basically. It's a very light. They have a very classic light spritz style culture, so it's the kind of thing they want. This is good brand. It's champagne, Bumeshu, dry tonic, and we've added a bit of Claron, Seju. It's like high ester, I suppose, Haitian rum. Super cool, super interesting, but there's only 3 mils in each drink, but it's one of the dominant flavours. You feel it really coming through hard. But it's just trying to kind of offer something that's low ABV, but doesn't taste like low ABV. I think that's the challenge for people a lot. It's the same thing. You get a low ABV drink, you feel a bit cheated. You're like, why is that 13 euros? So it's a good kind of like trade-off.
Can you switch back to the first one?
Yes.
Yeah.
What does Orchard means in Orchard tea?
Orchard tea. So
green tea or white tea?
it's a white tea. It's within the white tea. It has some bergamot, some dried peach, dried mango, and dried pear. So basically, I had to bring it with me. It's like a super light, fruity balance, and then you've got the bergamot, it's a bit of black tea as well, and a bit in the blend. So you got a bit kind of cutting through it.
Is that where the oily texture comes from?
The oily texture is from the olives. We obviously didn't bring olives with us, and unfortunately, the ones we have a bit of oil in the jar.
Yeah, I thought there was a little oyster sauce, a little tang in it.
No, it's from the olives, and we've been through a coffee filter, but it's still persisting.
Yeah. Did you serve them with oysters, or is this the first one?
You could do, yeah, anything like, it's a good like salty balance off as well.
Congratulations on this.
Thank you. Anyone else?
So interesting about this recipe is we did a syrup with a tonic. So we use a tonic water constantly in our venues. I mean, we do gin and tonics. We also do spritz. For example, the next drink, if you open a bottle and you use it and you have leftovers of the tonic, it's really interesting to play with it instead of just throwing it away. So we do this tonic syrup that we can use and works really well in this type of drinks if you want to give a lot of complexity and bitterness, like this bittersweet ingredient. So in the non-alcoholic that you had at the beginning, like the highlights, it's a really key ingredient to make it more different. So like, it really brings that little bitterness that you will find in alcohol, for example, that you don't have in tea, or like tea you will have tannins. This is a white tea, so very low tannins. But yeah, and the mix you choose is quite in the fruit side. But here, what really is going to give the complexity is that ingredient. So, well, thank you for coming so early. And if you have any questions, we have some time for that. So.
Yes, I would like to ask you something about the non-alcoholic drinks. For example, we have a cocktail bar, and all the people are coming, and which is the new bar, and all the people are coming and ask for lemonade or this kind of stuff. What do you think is the key to introduce your kind of non-alcoholic drink selection to the guest instead to serve a simple lemonade?
So I think key, call your non-alcoholic with a cool name already. Like if you have a a catchy name for your cocktail, that actually helps a lot. If you, one experience we did is we didn't put it in a non-alcoholic section. We actually have it with all the cocktails before. But if in your case is that you want to sell them instead of the lemonade, try to make them really look more attractive in your menu. Like make sure that it says that it's a non-alcoholic cocktail and call it fun. I mean, put it a good name and the presentation. If you see that they, for example, the photo I showed you, like a sour cocktail, using foam in non-alcoholics is really cool because it's something you don't expect, like using aquafaba or egg white or the miracle foam, whatever you want to use, but that it looks like the presentation looks like a sour. That's something that people would not expect. And if you start also gentle, start with something. If you see people are happy with citrus flavors and lemonades, work on a lemonade. Make it interesting. Upgrade that lemonade. If you see, you have to read your customers. When we opened, it wasn't that obvious. Like people also wanted a more simple, I would say, or more classic non-alcoholic. It's really through the time that we built that reputation, and then it became more like a fun challenge. But I think, what was the name of our non-alcoholic at the time, Maria Celeste? I don't remember, I think it was like Single Ladies or something like that, or like a Virgin, I don't remember, it was like a song. It was a catchy song, and right away we actually were selling it, and some people were not particularly ordering because it wasn't non-alcoholic, they just like it because the name and how it looked. So, yeah, hope that helps.
I guess there's a lot of work going into this non-alcoholic cocktail, so what is the price that you're selling compared to the alcoholic beverages?
So they are more affordable, but they are more expensive than a soda, of course. There is more work and more thought. We sell them between 8 to 10, depending on the ingredients, and cocktails we sell them. At Candelaria, for example, all of them are 12, there's a choice. At Maria Celeste, they go between 12 and 14.
Okay, thanks.
What is the challenges you face with the non-alcoholic drinks?
The bartenders to make them. Honestly, none, in the sense that it is hard to create. It is more complex. I would say it demands you more creativity, because when you work around the spirit, you choose to highlight the spirit, and the spirit has so much complexity that you have actually something to work. With non-alcoholic, you have to build that. But you also have to choose an ingredient. So in the case that the cocktail you had, well, the tea and this tonic syrup were kind of the key factors to create this drink. So I would say that the challenge is to really have the bartenders and the teams making these cocktails equally as thoughtful and important as the alcoholic cocktails. But as a consumer, for consumers, zero challenge. I mean, I think people are up to it. They are happy to taste. They are happy when they get something surprising and tasting good. And they're happy when they receive something that they can feel part of a social context and not having a Coke,
In one of your venues, you said that you are promoting Aperitivo time, or whatever you call it, correctly? And how you are selling this one to your customers? You are selling to a certain price and you are asking so everybody can come and eat and drink whatever they want? Or you just make some discounts from the regular menu?
So this is for Bar Marilou in New Orleans. So it's a very, in the culture, it's a very American thing to have the happy hour. Okay. So for us, instead to have that is what we call the aperitif hour, and that's where we highlight as well what we do. So there's a choice of more classic serves. For example, it could be a Lillet tonic, or yes, our Aperol spritz. And the way we do it is we have this selection of bottles and spirits that you can have on the rocks, with soda, with tonic, with prosecco, and the prices are 30, 40, 50% off, like for a period of time. So aperitif hour needs to be from 4, 5, or 6 to 8, something like that.
Before dinner. So basically you are making a selection from your menu, and For
Yeah.
the aperitivo with
Yeah.
the, as a topic. And
So
you
we
are
have
putting-
aperitivo cocktails. As I said, we can have an elaborated cocktail like the prune that you're having with umeshu, and so that will have a discount. And then we also have a selection of low ABV wines that you can have with a modified, with like a soda or with a cava. You know, some more simple serves that will go faster, and you can actually sell it at a better price.
And did you try this one in Paris as well?
No, we haven't done a aperitivo in Paris, aperitivo hour in Paris. It's culturally it's different.
Yes.
People are used to it, so they will go for their glass of wine or they will go for the cocktail. In New Orleans, it was more really this challenge to get people to drink wine and this style of drinks, and having also a discount, like being able to discover this program.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Other questions? No?
Just to top up on that, something they do very Celeste, when oysters are in season, they sell oysters at a discounted rate for the first maybe hour of service, or the first 2 hours of service. So that brings people in for apero, that brings people in for your low ABV, your spritz cocktails, and they stay and they drink and they have food after. So it's a good way to get people in the door.
Food is a big attractive. In Italy, for example, it's called the cicchetti. It's this non-stop food for free while you're drinking. So you can go for your cocktails and you will have the small little dishes, small focaccia, and food is also a big attractive for aperitif. It's true. If you like, that is something we do at Marie Celeste. Indeed, we actually did the promotion of it on the oysters. We had oysters at a discount for like the oyster hour or things like that. Yeah.
Well, thank you. Thank you very much.
Well, I'm glad you enjoyed it.